we are back after doing a big podcast. We said we'd do this every month. I think we've done 3 since August. Big podcast. The big podcasts have not gone very well, but we are lucky and fortunate to have an absolute legend in the house, quite literally, Mr. Ollie Thomas.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Behind the scenes round of applause as well. That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, thanks for having me. This is a cool little setup in here.
Yeah, it's nice. We wanted to keep it nice and relaxed. Now, Ollie, I'm always bad at waffling at the start of podcasts.
Oh yeah.
Look at his reaction. So we're gonna get straight into it, and it's a question I like to ask all three of them now. Why do you love football?
Someone asked me this recently, actually, and I think one of the things I love about football, like outside of the actual sport itself and like the entertainment, is like the rest of it. Like the fact that football offers like a routine to my life, it offers structure to my life, it offers a chance like on a Saturday to see my dad, to see my friends, to like be part of a wider community. And like I like the positive energy that brings to not just my life, but like life in general. Like obviously I like the sport, but it's the fun and the nice bits around it that I like more than like sitting down watching a game of football, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's everything that comes with it. Like, I mean, we wouldn't all be sat around a sofa right now, having banter and drinking cups of tea and eating Nigerian snacks. Where are they gone, by the way? Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, that's what we try to do with this podcast, like as much as possible, which is why we want to bring people like yourself on. I think we've done it with you already. We've done the emotional TikTok clips talking about Thierry Henry. So in addition to loving football, obviously you're a big Palace fan. What made you fall in love with Palace? I know you mentioned before the podcast that your dad's a big Palace fan.
My dad made me forced me to fall in love with Palace.
That's the good way though.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
That's how it should be.
Like
passed down.
Because where I'm from in Kent, there's not like, I think Palace were technically my local team in terms of like professional team that was in the Football League. It was like just Palace and Brighton were basically equidistant. So like it wasn't like I just chose a team at random, and my dad grew up in the area as well. But when I was younger, I had like a real secret fandom for Liverpool. And this is like people say nowadays that Ollie hates Liverpool. I actually used to love Liverpool. Like they were one of my favourite teams.
Why is that?
I used to love Luis Garcia.
Man, that is such. That's just made me feel good.
I think it's because I used to suck my thumb when I was younger, and that was his celebration. So I was like, he's an adult who also sucks his thumb. I don't think he did actually, other than when he scored. Well, he might have done. I don't know.
Maybe it's his excuse.
Yeah,
it was like his little treat.
Yeah, self reward.
Yeah.
And I actually like put a Liverpool poster up in my room.
Yeah.
And my dad like playfully locked me out of the house for like 10 minutes and was like, "You're not putting a Liverpool poster in your room." And I was like, "Fine." So then he took me to Palace a few times. And we actually, one of the first Palace games I went to, we beat Liverpool in the Premier League, 1-0. I think Andy Johnson scored.
Oh, what player?
So that was enough to persuade me. I was like, fair enough, Palace are actually better than Liverpool. So I've got to lock in now. And then I just started going more when I was older. Like I've had a season ticket for a really long time, but like obviously when you become more of an adult, as I said, you go to the pub before the game and like you start to show more of an active interest in like the sport itself. And I always quite like supporting Palace because it's like you get no one ever goes, unless they're like a Brighton fan, no one ever goes, "Oh, fucking Palace, blah blah blah." Like I feel like we're quite a well liked team generally.
I think so.
I think everyone's got a soft spot, but you'll hate me saying that. I think everyone has a soft spot for Brighton as well.
Yeah, but they're just like they're not.
But I think they're starting to get to that point where it's like they just expect a bit much. I think because they're getting a bit of success here and there, getting close to Europe and stuff like that, I think people are actually like starting to hate them a little bit. They're overcharging for like the likes of Caicedo. I think when Ferguson got outpriced out of a move, it was kind of like, who the fuck do you think you guys are?
They're becoming a bit of like a meme of themselves.
Exactly.
I think Brighton. Like like in the summer they spent like 200 mil or just like mostly like all these like random hipster, like the most classic Brighton transfer window ever, and like it's not gone brilliantly, and it's like
it hasn't. There was a Swedish guy that I was like, I just picked one of the transfers and I was like, he's going to be good.
I
didn't even
have you seen him?
any research. No, I've never seen him since. Yeah, and I was like, he's going to be brilliant. And
they keep buying all these people like that are just like they're taking risks everywhere they go, kind of on like these sort of players. They bought a few good players. Like Baleba looks like a baller.
He is well good.
Like, yeah.
When I was at the United Brighton game recently, I was actually quite blown away by Minter.
Yeah, he's well good.
Yeah,
that was one signing I said in the summer. I was like, that really well. But they signed like 3 right wingers in the summer.
Yeah, Arsenal could do with one.
Yeah. They had Minter, they had Ruto could play on the right, and like that, I think Grudo, who's like this young German guy, and it was like,
is he this? Oh no, is he a wing?
Yeah, he's a winger, I think, or like a number 10.
All of them just sound like regens on FIFA, so I never know who's
Brighton just signed Football Manager regens.
Yeah.
Well, and it's all like, oh, this guy's... And like, you've never heard of this player before, and then Brighton links them, and you get some like random German Bundesliga tactico being like, no, this guy's like the next big thing, and then they come to Brighton, and then they don't do anything, and you're like...
Yeah,
they're just scammers, mate. Scammers.
I was thinking
I'm starting to see the rivalry now.
Unbiased opinion, I hate it.
I was going to say, you know how like you said your dad locked you out the house? Mm-hmm. I feel like that's pretty brutal. I mean, to the point, I'm a gooner in a Spurs house. If you look behind you, there's a 70s Spurs squad team photo over there. I said before we got here, my dad has a portrait of Moussa Dembele next to his bed. Like...
How big?
I showed you that.
Never show me.
How big?
Oh, like, it had to take up the whole slide, because of the size of his arse. But, it's just like a little portrait thing. So, like, growing up, like if I had this out in the house, like, I don't know where it's going to be put. We have, like, a little league table downstairs as well, like, Velcro stick-ons. And every time I, like, try and do the table properly, Arsenal are 24th in League 2. Like, it's just loads of little things. But your dad was the most brutal with you, not necessarily because he supported Tottenham. Your dad was a massive gooner. This is a true story. Chika was a very good footballer when he was younger. You were on trial at a few clubs. Didn't make it because of a dodgy knee. No, joking. No, he was the bee's knees. I actually had heard of Chika because he was that good around the area. And you got scouted for Arsenal at one point, you got scouted for Brentford at one point, and then you got scouted for Tottenham. And what happened when you got scouted for Tottenham, Chika?
Yeah, I couldn't go.
Really?
Yeah, my dad wouldn't let me go.
Damn.
He was just like, yeah, don't worry, there's going to be more clubs. There's going to be more clubs that you're going to be able to go and try that and, play with them, but they didn't really come that much. After that, he's like, you got exams coming up, like, there's going to be others, but you can't play for Tottenham. Like, you can't even get a sniff there, so it's like, I was just a kid. I was like, yeah, you're right, Dad.
Now you look black.
And I had to go to football training. I had to tell the guy, like, yeah, my dad said no.
Damn. I wonder how often that happens, though. Like, I reckon that does happen.
Well, Emil Smith-Rowe's dad's a massive Spurs fan.
Really?
Yeah, that's a little bit of insight there.
Yeah.
So sorry, I'm not really making you feel better.
Well, look, I'm stuck on a sofa with you, mate.
Well, I think it worked out. Yeah. I think it worked out for the best. Didn't you go Barnet after that or something like that? You're at Barnet.
Yeah, that was yeah. But Barnet Spurs kind of the same level.
Yeah. Well, glad to have you here, buddy.
Oh, good.
Talking
Palace. How do you think the season's going so far?
It's been a bit of a weird one. Like, we started like really badly. Like we didn't win for like our first like 9 games or like 8 or 9 games. And like I think it was after 8 games of this season, we had fewer points than we did the year we had Frank de Boer, and we lost our first 7 games without scoring. We had more points that season than we did at the same stage this season. So like it's going really badly. But weirdly, like there were like loads of really like clear explanations as to why things are going badly. It wasn't like, oh, what the hell's going on? Like, we'd been really unlucky in a few games. Like, we had some injury. Like, it was like no one was really panicking, even though we were like 19th and hadn't won a game. Yeah. But since then, I think in like this is obviously like proper copium, but in the form table since then, we're like 5th or 6th. Like, we've done really well since November, and it's been good. Like, I feel like we have a very clear project that we're following, which is very unlike Palace. Like, it's kind of felt like we've been just like hopping from manager to manager for a while. Like, whenever we had Roy Hodgson in charge, as good as he was at times, like, you knew it was never going to be a long-term project because he's just like really old. And, he was never going to be like a
ancient.
Like poor guy. We kept on just being like, can you please come out of retirement?
Woy from Croydon. I know you love Palace.
Yeah. He had the freedom of Croydon. Fun fact. He got given the freedom of Croydon by the mayor.
He deserves it.
Yeah. He did some serious bits for us. But so it's been good broadly. Like it's now just like, have we left it too late to like really pull up any trees? Like,
where are you now?
I think we're like 12th, but what we've done quite well is we've really like reeled in that big cluster in mid-table. Like we were really adrift from that, and now we're kind of like within some of it. And then we're only like, talking to Brighton, we're only like 4 points behind Brighton now.
Yeah,
and like they've had like a decent year, and like I don't know. I think like we could push top half and have a cup run. That's the classic mid-table good season.
But it's fun when I think of the FA Cup. Actually, I think of Palace. Maybe that's just because I'm an Arsenal fan and I think of Righty. I think was it that game where did you get to? Was it a final against United?
Yeah, we drew 3-3.
Yeah. And then he scored 2, and
he scored. I think he scored. It was in like 1990s. This is well before my time. But I think he scored. I think he came off the bench and scored. I think he put us 3-2 up, I think.
Okay.
And then we conceded right at the end. It went to a replay. We lost the replay. Yeah. And that FA Cup basically saved Alex Ferguson's job at United. Oh, like wow. he was under like real pressure. Yeah. And the story goes that like if we had won the FA Cup, he would have been sacked.
Wow.
That's like crazy to think. Yeah. Like where would United be? Probably in a similar place.
So what you're saying is we're all about the same age. You're
26.
Okay, 26, 27.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is your club could have saved us from 10 years of misery.
Yeah,
and you didn't.
We enabled the biggest dynasty in Premier League history. Unfortunately, one of maybe the city one's bigger, but and we got to the final in 2016 as well. Lost to United again.
Yeah, Lingard, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, and then Pardew done the little dance.
Yeah, but then we talk about Pardew. Why I like football as like a wider thing. Like I look back on that day really fondly, even though it was like heartbreaking at the time because it was just like a sick day out, and like we went 1-0 up. You have that moment of like, oh my god, we're going to win the FA Cup, and then like they scored like 9 seconds later. But
I mean, even in 2011 when Arsenal bottled the League Cup final against Burnley, the Szczesny and Koscielny thing, I was sat literally just there with my mate Ben, and we were watching it and sat through it. But at the same time, like that was a moment we really bonded. It was like you're feeling shit together, and like you haven't really been through much when you're 13. Yeah. So. Like, I don't know, it was like a cool memory. Like, it was a sad memory, but it's kind of like a happy one. I was with my friends, so I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it's all just part of the joys of football, mate.
100%.
Got to have the downs to have the ups and downs, whatever the saying goes.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So, what do you think's led this resurgence? Are you a fan of Glasner? Or are you a fan as Mateta? Did you see my video on Mateta recently?
No,
I wanted him at Arsenal.
No, I did see that.
Yeah.
Mate, like,
Mateta's a baller, man.
I saw Paul Merson say that Mateta should go to United, or United should try and get Mateta, and it went like a bit viral. And I didn't really like see why it had gone viral, and I was like, oh, I assume people are like either agreeing with that or some people were like laughing at it, and I was like, are they laughing at the suggestion of Mateta going to Man United? Because like, but it was like United fans being like, oh, you got to be joking, like why would we go and get Mateta? Like, and I was like, I said he'd walk into United's team right now. And I like Højlund and Zirkzee, but I'm like, like Mateta.
You like them?
I do, yeah. I controversially like them.
I quite like Zirkzee. When I saw him live the other day, I was quite shocked at how good his close control was and his dribbling and how big he was. Yeah. The problem is he said that whole thing about being not a 10, not 9. He's a 9.5. It kind of felt like the whole time he was on the pitch, he didn't know where to be. Yeah. Like he literally was a 9.5. But constantly throughout the game, he was the outlet. I know he is.
He was saying against Palace earlier this season.
Yeah.
I was quite impressed. Again, like he didn't. I saw United fans like slating him. Yeah. Because like, we drew 0-0 with them at Selhurst, but I was like, what he was doing was working. Yeah. Like, he was linking up the play well, and like, and I said like, I know United fans were like really turned on Højlund and said like he basically is complete waste of space. But like, I feel like he has the core attributes that a good striker needs. I feel like he could, like if he could just get it to work, he could be really good.
I think for me, I was thinking about it the other day because like literally everything that nearly happened was through Zirkzee against Brighton, and I remember in the FA Cup as well, he came off the bench and he did this bit of skill where it was like really close control. Like I think he like dribbled past Gabriel.
Didn't he like floor Saliba?
Yeah. And then like laid it off out wide. I'm like, Mate, you're not a 9.5. It's such a weird thing to say.
Yeah, I know.
If Zirkzee could really change his game and kind of model it around being a target man, I think there is a player there, because he does fluff his lines a bit when going forward. Like he does not bury it, but he does make things happen. And I think it's such a waste to have such incredible ability at close control. Like his dribbling is actually kind of crazy good, and he's I didn't think Zirkzee was that big, because I always think of him like as a youngster at Bayern. So I thought he was just this young, skinny guy. And then you see him in real life, and you're like, shit, he's massive.
He is big.
And I think
proper striker.
He's got that kind of he's got that kind of thing, like he's got Havertz about him where he kind of just doesn't know his position. But I think if you can model, if a manager could come in and be like, what's his name, Joshua?
Yeah,
Joshua, Big Josh.
Yeah.
Stay forward.
Yeah. Well, it's like Firmino at Liverpool. Like,
he
was playing wing back under Brendan Rodgers, and you just need someone to be like, here's what you're going to do. And that's part of the problem with United, right?
Yeah.
Like they played Mainu up front against Palace.
No, they didn't.
They did, yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, because in the Europa League he did well in the 10, so he's like, oh yeah, he better upfield, and he had a good 10 minutes, right? And then
they started the game well, and then he just disappeared. Basically.
I think they've ruined him, man. His legs are gone already.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy. I remember people like absolutely raving about him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely think there's a player with Zirkzee. I want to get onto United in a bit more, but you've got a few questions about the whole Guehi situation at Palace and stuff like that. Chika was like, he really wants to pick your ear about this.
No, obviously, like when people talk about football, we kind of talk about the big six, and like maybe Newcastle coming into that and Aston Villa. But I think a lot of people, maybe people that watch our channel, don't really know too much about certain things in regards to like Palace and what's going on at the club. Like I remember, obviously, I feel like whenever I've seen any discourse about Palace, I think in regards to like Parish and like what's the name of the owner, John Textor. Yeah. I feel like people quite split, but I mean maybe that's just to do with how the club has gone over the past couple of years. I think maybe in August it's probably like came to the question a bit more. But what do you think is the actual opinion of Parish and the board?
It's interesting. It's become a bit of like a topic of debate, and like Palace fans disagree with this quite a lot. Like I think broadly Palace fans like Parish. There's a little subsection of people on Twitter, and I do believe it's just a subsection on Twitter, who basically say that like we're not ambitious enough, like they think that he's holding the club back, and it's basically because he's not that rich. He's not a very rich owner.
But you own 10%, right? He only owns like a...
Yeah, but he's like the key decision maker. It's a bit weird. So like he owns a minority, but he has the final say on everything. And that's why like we have net worth really rich owners in Textor and Harris and Blitzer, who like I think they own like another an American football team and maybe an NBA team as well. But they're like a big they think they're like the 49ers or something like that. But basically they don't like invest that much money because Steve Parish still like holds the keys to everything. And like obviously I think it's quite a simplistic view to be like, well, if we had more money we'd be better. And it's like, yeah, probably, but like we've gone into administration like twice in the last 30 years. Like in 2010, like we nearly didn't exist as a club. And like Parish took us from we stayed up on the last day of the season against Sheffield Wednesday in 2010 in the Championship, and if we'd gone down that day, like we could very well have not existed anymore. We stayed up, he came in and bought us, and then obviously now we're an established Premier League team. And I think like every Palace fan appreciates that, but I think some like me appreciate that like a lot. And like I feel like to just be stable is a big achievement, and people don't really appreciate. They're like, oh, but like look at Bournemouth, look at Brighton. It's like, yeah, like okay, they're probably better than us right now and they're above us in the league, but like have they built anything like super long term? And I think Steve Parish's goal at Palace is to like realise the potential of being the biggest club in South London, which is what we are currently. And like we have a massive catchment area in Croydon where like there are so many England players who would have been in our catchment area. Like there's like Hudson-Odoi, Sancho, like Eze. I think Eze, or was he? Yeah, he's in Greenwich, or like he was born in Greenwich. Even like current players like Trevor Chalobah, Nketiah, like these are all players who like should have gone through Palace's academy, and whether they make it or not, Palace becomes so much richer.
There's so many ballers around that area, so like it's only right that
Joe Gomez is another one.
He was at Charlton, wasn't he?
And I think like what Parish is trying to do is, you know, his project is like over 5, 10, 15, 20 years of like build a new stand in the stadium, which is what we're doing now. Like we've got a new academy, we want to build a new training complex, and it's like, I think we could come in and, you know, get someone that like Bournemouth has or Brighton or even like Newcastle and be like, we'll spend loads of money in the transfer window, but like we're not going to become a big team by doing that. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have the infrastructure.
You also need a foundation to fall on. If things don't go right, like you have said in the last 30 years, you need to build something that will give you a plan B.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the ultimate thing is like, I think Steve Parish genuinely has Palace's best interests at heart. Yeah. And like, you can't say that for many owners. And like, he was born in like Forest Hill, which is like 15 minutes from the stadium. And I'm like, I like that. And some Palace fans don't like that. And they'd rather we had a quick, get rich quick owner who, you know, will just pump loads of money in. But I'm like, that's not like, I'm obviously biased because Palace are a small team, but I don't really believe in winning that way. Like, I'd rather we built it up, and because I think we could, obviously I'm biased, but like, I said, like, we could be a huge club if you can own south of the river, which like no football team does in terms of like the biggest team in that area. Like, why can't we go on and do good things?
Yeah, well, that's Sully. You were saying this to me the other day. Sully behind the camera. You were saying like how Palace has such great potential in regards to just becoming a big team. Like, if you're an investor, like, it's just like, it's money. It's dollar signs. It's because I think I was saying that about West Ham, how it's such a shame that in recent years I don't think West Ham has been run to its full potential.
No,
definitely not.
That's really insightful. I didn't know that. I think that personally, from hearing that side and you kind of giving a synopsis to the argument.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, do you think it's because of the modern generation of football fans? Because
maybe
I know like people just want success like that nowadays, and like, I mean, you mentioned Fergie earlier. United were in the late 80s, early 90s, well, up until 92, of course.
Yeah.
Well, was it 93? They won the league in the first Prem season, wasn't it? So it would have been 92, 93. Yeah. It's. Oh God, I don't know. There was no instant success there. And I mean, you could even argue that for Arteta. I mean, that happened a lot quicker than it did with Fergie. But do you think it's kind of just the way in which people have become accustomed to football now that like success has to happen overnight?
Yeah, people are like, just want to churn things out. And like, I think there's always got to be like an enemy at a club. Yeah. Like, everyone has got to have someone that they hate. And it's like the when things go wrong, who can the fans turn on? And like, Palace fans really rate Glasner as a manager. Yeah. Like, we're not really the type of fan base to turn on players that often. Like, I can't think of many players who have been like really unpopular at Palace over recent years. So it's like Parish is just like the obvious thing where it's like, again, it's just such an easy thing to say of like, well, if we had a really rich owner, we'd spend more money, and why haven't we bought this player, this player, this player? It's like, well, it's just not really how it works. Like, I saw a Palace fan on Twitter the other day being like, they said, our squad's looking so thin. And I was like, first of all, like, every squad has holes. Like, I'll use Arsenal as an example. They're second in the Prem, like Champions League knockout round, and they didn't buy an attacker this window because it's difficult to go and buy the right people. And there's no point spending money for the sake of spending money. So I was like, so what are these glaring holes that we have that like are crippling and are going to cause our manager to resign, which is what people were saying in January. And he was like, we need a striker. I'm like, I was like, we've got Mateta and we've just spent 30 million on Nketiah. Why would we go and get another striker? Like, but it's like people just like, well, no, because like, you know, we could have a better striker. We could have a better, like, you could have a better everything. Like, unfortunately, we're Crystal Palace. Like, things, I said, like, it's really easy to be a negative football fan, I think, because things can always be better. Yeah. And if that's just your mindset, you can always have something to complain about. Yeah. And I think I'd rather take a different view and be like, well, things are pretty good. Yeah. Like, it's low stress being a Palace fan, really.
What have you thought of Nketiah recently? Because obviously, to say he hasn't hit the ground running is probably an understatement.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Yeah. What? He's a weird one, isn't it? Poor guy.
He just obviously. I've never seen a player just so obviously need a run of games. Like, he's not played up front like more than twice for us. Because like Mateta has obviously locked that spot down, and rightly so. And Nketiah's played like number 10, but he's not number 10.
No.
But I think, like, realistically, I think Mateta will probably leave Palace in the next couple of years. Like, I think he has ambitions a lot bigger than Palace. And Nketiah will get a run then. Like, and I'm very confident he will be good. Like, I think I rated him when he was at Arsenal. When he gets a run in a team, he's obviously not the perfect player, but he's he's good enough for a team like a mid-table team. Definitely good enough, I think.
Well, I mean, he didn't even break the under-21s goal-scoring record.
Yeah,
I think he's top goal scorer for England. Like, you can't be a bad player.
He's just a confidence player as well.
Yeah,
he's not got any rhythm, and so
I don't know what it was about him at Arsenal that just used to frustrate. I was never really filled with confidence when he came on. Can you put your finger on it?
Like, he had a couple games where he came and scored a couple goals. He had a hat-trick that he scored once, but it's just like, you could just tell he wasn't the world-class striker that you could depend on to get you 20. I think if you actually probably started every game for Arsenal, I think he probably would have got close to 20 goals in a season.
Do you think?
Yeah, 100%, because we create so many chances and he's not a bad finisher.
No,
so it's just the fact that you won't be that patient after 2 or 3 games where he hasn't scored. Do you know what I mean? But 38 games is a long time.
I think he's a good like out of possession striker. Like, he's been quite a good person for us to bring on recently. If we're winning, just like stretch the game a bit. He runs a lot. Like, but when it comes to like leading the line and like, again, comparing him to Mateta, who's like, he's actually so good with the ball at his feet and so good at holding the player, and like he links everything so well. I think Nketiah like doesn't really have that. Like, you kind of think he does, but I don't think he's actually like not very quick either. And in my head, Nketiah should be rapid because of like the style of striker is like a get in behind, finish. He's just like not.
He's like a bit of a Chicharito, isn't he? He's just he pops up in the like Ollie Solskjaer. Like he's literally the definition of a poacher.
I think the furthest you keep him away from the goal, the further you do that, it's just like you're not really going to see the best of him. Like he's 6 yard, maybe a bit of 18-yard player, but outside the box, you're not really going to get much change out of him.
I mean, we were trying to get him to like drop into midfield as a number 10, and he just clearly didn't want to do that. Like, it didn't work at all.
Late in his career, I think he can do that. He's probably reaching an age. I think he's a year younger than us.
Yeah, he's like 25.
Yeah, 25. I think that'll probably add to his game. He's probably going to learn a lot being at Palace and starting to become one of the more mature players there. But I think right now, obviously, you kind of just need him to be playing in his best position.
Yeah, I think I don't want to say it's like being a luxury player because it's not. But I did a video recently where I was like, I was literally sat after the Arsenal Man United game in the FA Cup, and I was literally sat there like, how has that happened? Like, how do we why have we scored so many goals in the Premier League, and yet we're like, it's glaring for a number 9? And I essentially came to the conclusion, like looking through it, is like, when Arsenal go down, when they're in a deficit, if you look back at last season, the season before, City and Liverpool were so much better. I think even other teams in the top 4, they're so much better at coming from behind. Yeah. And Arsenal don't have that. Like, when we're flowing. And I think that's why Nketiah did well in games. Yeah. Because he could get on the end of that. But I think maybe, and disagree with me if you think I'm wrong, in a team like Palace, against certain teams, you're not going to have that flow. You need a player like Mateta who will create something out of nothing. Yeah. And Nketiah is more kind of, if the game's going well, I'm going to score. And I think that's why when we sold him, we needed to bring in a striker that would do that. We needed someone, like, as you said, Mateta kind of creates everything. Whereas Nketiah is a brilliant finisher and gets on the end of things. But, I think that's kind of the thing with him. And hopefully if Palace start to kind of
I think he just
play well, it will help. So.
Yeah, like the thing is with Mateta, like he's like such a big personality. He's like a match winner. Like he's won us so many games over the past year because he like just backs himself. He has such high confidence. Whereas like Nketiah just doesn't really have that yet. But that just comes with time. I think football fans really underestimate like the power of like circumstance and timing and like it's not black and white. Like there's so many easily explained things, especially with Nketiah, where it's like, he looks rusty off the bench because he's not playing. Exactly. Like, he's obviously not going to come on and be amazing because, like, think if you're him, like, it's difficult to get into a flow of a game in 20 minutes. Like,
do you think he can? So, do you think he can become that player that creates something out of nothing?
I don't know. Like, I back him and rate him, and like, if we were to sell Mateta and Nketiah, I'd be more than happy for him to come and be our number 9. It's difficult to know. Like we haven't seen enough of him as a striker. Like I think the only games he started up front, when we played in the last round of the cup, whoever it was, Stockport. He played up front in that, and we won 1-0. And he didn't score, but it's like it's hard to say. I think so. Like I rated him when he was at Arsenal. He's the kind of player who like He's young. He's come from a big team. He's obviously got ability. Like he just needs an arm around the shoulder.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely does. Listen to you talk there. I remember, was it against United? He scored in the last second to win the game.
Yeah,
a while back. So yeah, he does have that in him. I think probably the reason though why Arsenal fans got frustrated is because I think it's a whole team thing. I don't think, looking back on the video I made, I don't think it's just a number 9 thing. I think it's a whole team thing. It's just, you can look at all the stats and like it does paint a picture, but there are some things you can't explain. So Nketiah is an interesting one, but I mean, you wouldn't. I don't think a club like Palace, as you say, who are trying to be a bit steady with their progression, I don't think they invest that much into a player unless they.
Yeah, we've wanted him for ages. Like we tried to get him a few years ago. Like there are a few this summer. Like Is Ollie was another who we've just been trying to sign for so long, and it's obviously they've done their due diligence, and we have recruited well generally. There are not many like Nketiah is probably right now like he's a miss, but like outside of that, I can't think of many players who we've signed and just been like crap.
Who's the Millwall boy again? What's his name?
Essay.
Yeah.
Essay.
Essay and Essay.
Not confusing at all.
Yeah. Well, he got a lot of shtick celebrating when you were still down.
I know, mate. But that's just classic. Like, I'm going to talk about this later on the segment you asked me to plan for. But like, I'm like, it's his first touch in the Premier League, and he scored, and he's a South London guy. Like, crack on. Do you know what I mean? I would be doing laps of the I thought that I was.
Was you doing Eddie Bayor?
Yeah, I would be down the other end. I actually thought that yesterday. It was England France in the Six Nations, and a young England forward like scored right at the end, like it was just before they scored the winning try, and it was his first try at Twickenham, and he just like ran back to the halfway line. It did not even like. I was like, surely inside you're like, oh my god, like just express. I think like. Professionalism's overrated, mate. Just like go and enjoy,
Which is why we like the Miles Skelly. Did I get his name right? Miles Lewis Skelly. Shit, I can never say it right. Miles Lewis Skelly. That's why we love that. I know we've kind of touched on Nketiah coming from Arsenal to Palace. Why do people call you a secret Arsenal fan?
Because it's very simple. Because I don't hate Arsenal, and like a lot of obviously everyone seems to hate Arsenal now for whatever reason. And I just don't hate Arsenal. I just quite like them. I quite like the way I like a team that like I like progress. I like a team that progresses and you can like see improvement. Like obviously Arsenal, I like it when a team has come from, the Emery days of like 7th, 8th, and they're back to manage and they're back to project and it's going well. I like seeing that happen. Like I don't get why you would sit there as a neutral and like want to see City win another league title when obviously they. I like what Arsenal do, and as I said before, like as someone who lives in London, I know a lot of Arsenal fans, and like I like those people. I like the vibe of Arsenal.
But like, you know like Chelsea fans. Chelsea fans are one of the worst.
But also, like I can be a bit of a contrarian sometimes, and like because Arsenal are spoken about, they are the most spoken about team in the Prem, I think by a mile.
Do you think that's just because of AFTV?
What the people? Yeah, I don't think that. I think like obviously some of it is like obviously Arsenal Fan TV was probably the first like the biggest online presence of a fan base I can remember. Like obviously they blew up and like created a whole genre. So I think a lot of people don't like them because of AFTV, but like I don't really know why.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
I don't really understand.
I don't really know.
I think AFTV is a big part of it though.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like Arteta.
Yeah,
but like I don't really understand. Like I do get why, but I'm like, is he any worse than? I quite like players and managers. Like I really like Bruno Fernandes, for example, and a lot of people hate him. But I like players. I like players and managers who you would hate if you're playing against them. But if they're on your team, you would love them. And I get why Arsenal fans love Arteta and why neutrals hate Arteta. That's why I like Arteta.
Got you.
And it's like same with like Zaha at Palace was like that. I think that's why it's kind of been born from that. Like everyone loved him at Palace. A lot of people outside Palace hated him. So I'm like, no, I'm doubling down on that.
Yeah, I get you.
With Zaha, I find him a weird. I actually quite liked him.
Yeah, same.
I quite liked him and also I just felt like he got so done over in that move to Man United.
He did.
Ever since that moment, I was just like, I really want this guy to do well.
There's a lot of pressure on him.
But do you think he's that hated?
I think a lot of neutrals don't like him.
Really?
Yeah, because he was basically like, I feel like he headlined all the diving thing. Like when people getting booked for simulation, he was kind of always at the forefront of that. And like he was a diver, like he did dive quite a lot.
But
he was also the most fouled.
Yeah, he was most
100%. But what do you expect when
one of my most satisfying football memories is when we played Arsenal at the Emirates, and it was the first season of VAR, and he went down in the box, got booked for diving, and then VAR overturned it and gave us a penalty. And I was like, this is the biggest vindication ever. I'm like, now VAR's here, you're not going to think he's a diver because he's not a diver.
Reputation does actually just like.
Mate. He definitely did go down easily sometimes, but he was also kicked to within an inch of his life every game. Yeah. Like he was getting double. Like
it's frustrating.
100%
frustrating. And he used to show reactions. He used to like getting a few.
Yeah, he was just he was a passionate player.
Yeah, 100%.
And like I remember he got like clotheslined by Tanganga once, and then he like got up and started like scrapping him. Everyone was like, "Oh, I shouldn't react like that." And I'm like, he just got flattened, like absolutely flattened. Like obviously. If I was playing football and someone did that to me, like I would get up and do it. It's just like human reaction. He was just like super emotional guy. And like people didn't similar to what I said, like people don't like it when a player is like a normal human being.
What do you think of his career now? Obviously, like when he was at Palace and he went back and he was kind of like your star man, and like we were linked with signing him ahead of Pepe at certain times. I think Emery wanted him. To see his career kind of go in this direction, obviously he wanted to play Champions League football and he couldn't really get that at like a big club, so he went to Galatasaray and stuff like that, and now you see him at Charlotte, I believe. Charlotte FC. So like, do you think his career has kind of been a disappointment or?
Yeah, I don't think he realised his potential. Like, obviously as a Palace fan, I am grateful that he didn't leave because he's our best ever player, and like when I think of football, I think of
best
Zaha.
ever.
Yeah.
Do you think at Palace?
Yeah. In terms of like, he's maybe not the best ever player to play for Palace, but he's Palace's best ever player. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
like what he did, like he single-handedly kept us in the Premier League for like 3 or 4 years, like with having no help at all, and he was just carrying us on his back. But like obviously because he's a Palace player, and I think I'm a football fan as well as a Palace fan. I do feel a bit sad for him that like. He was more than good enough to go and play for a big team. Yeah. Like, more than good enough.
Well, but he nearly went to Arsenal, didn't he? Emery wanted him at Arsenal.
But he nearly signed a contract. I think it was that summer. He signed a contract with Palace, like a 5-year, and that basically just killed his career. Because, like, he was just so valuable to us that we were like, we weren't entertaining anything less than like 80, 90 million, which at that time was like superstar money. Like, obviously now, it's not, you spoke about Brighton earlier, like, it's not inconceivable, but that a big team could go and pay that for a mid-table player, but like, at the time that was not a thing. And like to see, I think a lot of it is like injuries. Like his last season at Palace, he was injured quite a lot, and like I think ultimately like he seems to fall out with players and with fans and with coaches everywhere he went, apart from Palace. But that's because like he had like unconditional love from the fans, and like he could lose the ball 20 times and Palace fans would still want him to get the ball and want him to go and take a man on, and like. I don't know if he would have got that like a big team. I don't know. Ability wise, he's definitely good enough, but I don't know if he would have got the same patience that he really needed to perform. But like, he was. When I think of like going to watch Palace, I think of him. Running down the left wing in front of the home cell, like that was literally like all we did for 5 years. Just like give Zaha the ball and just hope he does something. And like Andros Townsend would be on the other wing, like no one near him, and no one would ever pass in the ball. It would always just go to Zaha.
But he scored that one banger at City every year. Talking about that, I was just thinking out, like thinking to myself when you were making a point there. Do you think there are any players that have been affect their career? Do you think? Okay, let me phrase this better. You can tell I haven't prepared for this. Do you think there are any players whose careers have been affected by their reputation?
Yeah, definitely. Zaha, like, again, I'm biased. Like, Zaha is definitely one. Like, you just think he had his reputation preceded him. But, like, if you watched him for a full season, you would see that, like, he shouldered so, and people thought he was like a crybaby and blah, blah, blah. But, like, he put up with, like, a lot of shit. Trying to think, they're definitely, and also like that can work other ways as well. Like some players massively benefit from their reputation when sometimes it maybe like isn't that fair. I'm trying to think, there must be some. Do any spring to mind?
Xhaka. I think Xhaka. There was 1 or 2 times where he got sent off, but then again, that wouldn't affect his whole career.
Yeah,
he's gone on to do really well at Leverkusen, which at the time I thought was a really weird move. I thought it was a step down at the time. What about you?
Or any players that
affected by reputation? Maybe that's one we have to prepare for.
I think that's definitely one I have to prepare for. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of too many.
It depends what you mean by career affected. You mean like they didn't or did get moves?
Didn't get moved because they've seen as trouble, or maybe they're too much of a liability. Like Xhaka, someone thought, they had talent, but they get sent off a lot. Like referees tend to get the cards out when it's this individual, or it affects their performance.
I have a couple of players, but it's a bit too controversial.
Please, controversy.
Now Ranger. He's one. I saw a recent interview basically explaining obviously what happened with his legal situation and how obviously when that kind of he got proven innocent, but it still just ruined his whole career, and he literally had managers telling him that you can't come here because it's going to bring a cloud over the club and stuff like that. So that's just the first thing that came to my mind.
No, it's interesting. I forgot about Nile Ranger. All right, so as a confirmed secret Arsenal fan,
that's not what we landed on. That's not what we landed on. I feel like I have to verbalise I'm not an Arsenal fan.
Okay. If you weren't a Palace fan, who would you support?
I don't know. That's a good question. I saw. They asked people that on the overlap the other day. If you lived in London, who would you support? It would be a London team, but I don't know who. I probably would go lower down. I'd go lower down. I think Bromley would be up there. They're in League 2 now. That's quite fun. The thing I quite like about being a Palace fan is it feels like sometimes I watch the storylines play out in the Premier League as almost a neutral, because I'm not invested in the title race because we're not in it, and Brighton aren't in it. So I ultimately don't really care who wins the league or who gets top four and stuff. So I'd like to stay a neutral fan of something.
I think I used to go and watch Barnet a bit when I was younger, so I think that would be my
Dulwich Hamlet maybe. Been there a few times, but that's proper gentrified London.
Is it?
Sat non-league. It's a good day out. I would recommend going. It's very posh.
I like Clapton.
Was in Dulwich though.
Yeah, Clapton are good as well. There's a really good Copper 90 documentary on that.
Yeah,
that's really good. And then Wingate and Finchley. So you played for them for a bit.
No.
Oh, I trained with Wingate and Finchley.
I played for them.
No, when I say it wasn't a good setup, it was literally in Enfield playing fields.
Yeah.
The under 18s would literally trade it. It was not very official, but I think that would be my one. Sorry, my phone.
I think I'll go to
I'm getting the
go to Brentford. Yeah, I think QPR is probably very, very easy for me to get to, but I think I'll probably go for a Brentford or
you're in Chika's West London.
Yeah.
I'm no, you're kind of northwest.
I'm west. I'm in Westminster, but I'm on the cusp of Brent. Brent is literally 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's
you're kind of how I'm north and northwest. You're just northwest and west.
Yeah.
Kind of thing with both on the edge.
I went to school in West London as well, so it will literally take me 10 minutes to get to QPR.
Yeah, I do like QPR as well.
I don't like QPR.
You don't?
I do it's obviously a very, very small club. It's in the heart of West London, and I like them, but obviously there's so many fans at my school, and they're quite annoying especially when they're in the Premier League and they're doing shit, and they're just annoying and almost irrelevant. I'll be bantering Chelsea fans, and they'll be giving me their opinions about Tarap being the best player in the league. I'm like, well, he's not. He's fucking not.
I love that story about Tarap, about how he got asked. I think he got inquired about during that season to a move for Man United.
Yeah.
I think it was on the Peter Crouch podcast they mentioned this. He would not leave London. London was such a draw. He just wanted to go to King's Road and smoke shisha. That's why Tarap never went to United.
I like when players it's like Willian re-signing for Fulham.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet that was Willian just hates moving house. He's Fulham, Chelsea, Arsenal. He just doesn't want to leave London. I'm fair enough.
When he went Corinthians, that was probably a little holiday.
Yeah.
That was his summer. Yeah. He probably was, to be honest. But no, as a secret Arsenal, but in regards to the title race, I feel like we've got to talk about this. I don't know why I went very posh. I went very prawn sandwiches there. In regards to the title race, I spoke about it on the previous pods. We always come to it. It's currently early Feb. Mm-hmm. I said without Arsenal signing a striker, a very kind of black and white view, I don't think we have enough to win the league. Mm-hmm. Do you think it had already been gone?
I don't think I'm in the camp of I don't necessarily think Arsenal need a striker. They just need an attacker, probably a left winger. But the thing is with Liverpool, like they're obviously they have undoubtedly been the best team in the league this year, and if they carry on the way they are, they'll win the league. And that's not a hot take at all, but it just feels like they've not had any like adversity yet. Yeah. Like everything has just gone so swimmingly for them, and like I know they've had injuries and stuff to some players, but like if you look at like the spine of that team and like the irreplaceables in that team, like they have played every game this year. Like Salah, Van Dijk, Gravenberch, they have been Liverpool's 3 best players this year, and they've played every single game. Yeah. Like I still, part of me thinks like, okay, well, what if one of them got injured? Like then what? It's a big if. You can't base the whole title around that. But like, I still don't think it's over. Like I don't think Liverpool are like an invincible team that no one can beat, and they have got a lot of hard games left. And again, like so much of football can be just around circumstance. It's like if you look at like City and Arsenal this year, both have been unlucky in terms of like injuries, timing of injuries, who they've played when, etc. Whereas like I don't think Liverpool have had that really. Yeah. Like I'm not. Liverpool are the best team in the league, but I think that could change.
Yeah, I agree with you.
If that makes sense.
I think given the circumstance we've been put in with injuries and the availability that we're having, and also the fact that it's kind of impacting the way we play the game, we kind of do need a lethal striker. But I think all in all, when our squad is set, when things are kind of going our way, Saka's back in the team, our whole team is kind of there, we have enough backups, a stronger squad. I don't think a striker is the most important thing that we need. Like, I still don't believe that. But obviously, it will help.
Yeah.
It will fucking help, you know. It's not nice seeing Havertz miss so many chances and, you know, probably getting fewer and fewer each game because we just don't have enough to kind of get behind him. But I genuinely believe if we have a dual threat from Saka on the right and have another world-class wing on the left, I think you'll see the difference in the team rather than just having a striker that would just like bang in a couple goals with a few chances.
How much down to Salah do you think it is? Because I did a bit of stat prep before the pod in my Arsenal bet. I was going through it. He scored 21 goals and got 13 assists in 23 matches in the Premier League. That is just insane. That's 34 goal involvements in 23 matches.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Wait, how many goals?
He scored 21 in the Prem already after 23 games. Like, I know they're saying like they're sharing the goals in that Liverpool team. Clearly not. He's moving greedy. Yeah. Like, it is insane. And even I didn't realise how well he had done in his first season. I know he was like this starlet that had kind of like, he'd reached his potential in that first season. In 36 games, he scored 32 goals and got 10 assists. He's already got 3 more assists than that season. And the seasons before, he played 32 matches last year, only got 18 goals. I say only. 38 matches, got 19 goals the season before that. And then even this season when they won the league, 34 matches, 19 goals. He's already surpassed that. That is actually insane for his age as well as a winger. Wingers are seen as old at 28. Like, I know we're like really raving about him and everyone's going, oh my God, Salah's been incredible. Why does it still feel like in previous seasons he was performing better? When you look at those stats and you go, that is actually insane.
It's just normalised now. I think everyone just expects it of Salah. Like, we've seen him do it so many times. And like, obviously, other Liverpool attackers have had good years. Obviously, Gakpo's had a really good season. Like, Diaz has done quite well as well. But like, obviously, it is like Salah's presence just makes such a big difference. But also like his progression, like, he is old for a winger, but like he also peaked he broke out quite old as well, if that makes sense. Like
26.
Like when he was like 24, I think he was playing for like Fiorentina. Yeah. Like obviously that's still at a good level. He was still doing well there, but like he was nowhere near. No one would have predicted he'd go on to do this. He's just like blossomed a lot older than a lot of players do. It's quite random.
Yeah, I just find it so weird that he's put up those numbers, and yet this season we think about Luis Diaz doing well. We think about Jota coming back from injury and doing well. Gakpo pulling them out of trouble against United. I'm just a bit lost for words with it, really. It's incredible, his numbers. Like, that is kind of Messi Ronaldo territory we're talking about for a season. Yes,
especially in the Premier League.
I say he dipped. He still nearly scored 20 goals as pretty much as a winger before. I'm literally kind of lost for words. So Yeah.
I'm genuinely expecting a drop off with Salah. I think he kind of has had a few seasons in the past. I think last season especially started strong. I think he went to AFCON and then maybe got injured, and then he kind of tailed off towards the end of the season. So I'm kind of expecting that to happen, but he surprised me year on year out. So it's kind of like, I don't want to have that expectation that maybe just coping, like you said. Like I'm hoping that Liverpool are going to drop off, the star man's going to get a bit tired and stuff. But
it's only what Arsenal now, or what, like 6 points behind Liverpool, and they've got a game in hand.
Yeah.
Like if, let's say they go to Goodison on Wednesday and they lose, like all of a sudden, like it can change so quickly, and like I think people forget that because we're in an era of like City and Liverpool and even like Arsenal in recent years of teams who like can just go and win 17 of their last 20 games. Like title races before the Pep and Klopp era, like they would change a lot. Like I was listening to an audio the other day and they were speaking about the year that City first won the league. And like United were like 8 points clear with 8 games to go, and City beat them to the title. And that was Man United under Sir Alex Ferguson. It's like, and obviously Arsenal and like United themselves have overtaken teams with bigger deficits. Like it's not, we're so spoiled now to watch these teams who are just like winning machines. But I think it can change quickly. Like I really do think that. And I'm partly saying that out of hope as a neutral, because I want to see a title race. Like I want to see it to be competitive, and I don't want Liverpool to run away with it just because that's boring from a neutral perspective.
For me, the thing that makes me think maybe not now is I was saying to Chika before, I was like, I don't think this Liverpool team are as good as previous seasons, but then I read stats like that, and I think slowly through each podcast that's gone by, I'm like, no, actually they're quite good. Oh no, okay, they're very good. I've gone from thinking they're not that great, and I was saying to Chika, what I think I was trying to say is I think watching previous Liverpool teams like Klopp's, like when they get to Champions League finals and stuff like that, I was more impressed by that. But maybe that's because of they're new. They were new. Like there was years in which Liverpool were coming like 5th, 6th. So it's like this, oh my God, Liverpool are back. Like it's the 80s again kind of thing. But, oh God, I've forgotten where I was going with that. The thing that's going to carry them through, I think, is you named off loads of players who have seen out the title race now. Van Dijk, Robertson, Trent, Salah. They know how to get it done, which makes me think if there's a team that's going to go on a winning run like that, pull a game out of nothing, out of nowhere, that made no sense, but like win the game by any means necessarily, essentially. It's them. I think back to the Southampton game. I know Southampton are just terrible, and they had
gifted them like 3 goals. But they still won.
Won.
I do think like Liverpool as a little like mini dynasty under Klopp are like really underrated in the context of Premier League, because like they only won 1 league title, blah blah blah. But like in any other era they win like at least 3. Do you know what I mean? Like they were so good under Klopp, and like the year they won the Champions League and City beat them to the title on the last day, or like you went to the final day, like that was probably the second best Premier League team I've ever seen, and the best team just happened to be the other team in the title race that year. Do you know what I mean? It's just like I was thinking this on the way here, like if Liverpool win the league this year, like where does this era of Liverpool rank among the best ever Prem teams? Because I know they've only won 2 league titles, and that's not a lot, but like context is so important when you like, because they were up against Pep, who is an absolute freak of nature.
What was it? What was the points tally when they came second? It was something insane.
They got 97 points. They came second.
That is, how much did Leicester have when they won the league? It was like
82 or something.
Yeah. That's 15. Yeah. How many wins is that? 5. That's 5 more wins, and they came second.
Well, I think Liverpool's points tally that year was the 3rd highest in Prem history, and they didn't even win the league.
Mental. Like, when you look back at that,
because obviously City did 100 the year before, and then they got 98 that year, and it's like, what can you do about that? It's even like this. So many of the like Pep title challenges, like Arsenal, like last year. It's like in any other season, in any year where Pep doesn't exist, that goes down as like one of the best Prem seasons ever. But like, it's now viewed as like a failure. But how many points did Arsenal get last year? Like,
it was in 90. It was 90. Yeah, I think we just got in. Yeah, because when we beat Everton, I think we just got into the 90s. I think it was 91. By the way,
I don't want to relive that pain, man.
I have to. I've definitely written down that Mo Salah stat, but genuinely, it's so insane. I feel like I have to. Those stats are true.
Just in the Prem.
Yeah.
That is mental.
Like I was like, oh,
I'm not that sure that's all comps. Is what I thought. I was like,
yeah, no. Only Prem. But I mean, even in the Champions League, he's got 3 goals and 4 assists in 7 matches. Like it's actually insane. Yeah. I genuinely said it there, and I was like, oh, am I going to get rinsed online for like getting the stats wrong? Have I like done a previous season?
It's literally unbelievable. Like, it's literally unbelievable that someone has got those numbers.
Yeah,
but they've just got a lot of good players. Football is a simple game sometimes. They've just got a lot of very good players.
Yeah,
Liverpool, and like I think if you've got, it's what you said about Saka before. Like if you had a game-breaking winger on the left, like the balance is so much better. Like Liverpool obviously have Salah, but they have Gakpo and Diaz who can also, and it just makes it impossible to defend against. You can't handle all those people at once.
Yeah. It's different characteristics to the same position.
Yeah.
So you have to change your whole game if you're like a fullback or a centre back.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've figured them out. Yeah. And I don't know. I'm trying to think of a difference in that team. Like Jota's really weird at winning headers.
Yeah.
Like I don't like.
They have so many strengths. There's so many different things.
Yeah.
So
no, 100%.
Yeah, and like you don't expect it.
Yeah, I think Slot is a big part of it as well. Coming into such a team, like there's a lot of pressure coming in after Klopp.
Yeah.
Like they loved him. They loved him. Like he really like I think he's probably. He's up there as one of their most successful managers in terms of what he brought to the club. But I feel like replacing that energy and like people thought they'll be out of the top 4, maybe struggling to get top 6, and he straight coming in like that and just calming the ship, playing a different style of football, and it's just succeeding already. It's
but
crazy.
I think what he did quite well is he didn't change it too much. He tweaked it. He can't. I said this in the previous. I think in the last podcast we recorded. He did something very similar to what Ranieri did at Leicester. Do you remember when Pearson was there and he got them out the relegation zone? He started playing that brand of football. Like it was kind of counter-attack, kind of similar to what Forest are this season. And Ranieri came in and with an ego, he could have gone like, all right, we're playing this whole different brand of football. But the only real difference I can see in this Liverpool team is that their midfield sits a bit deeper. They've got 2 pivots. Apart from that, the front 3 is still the same.
Yeah.
And it is a bit less high press, but the difference isn't too much.
Yeah, he's not like reinvented. And that's like a lot of managers, again, look at like Amorim at United as a good example. Like, they can get, egotistical and be like, well, no, I get they've been hired to play their system, but like, sometimes if a team is doing well, like Liverpool were, you don't have to go and tell Salah to be a touchline winger instead.
Exactly.
And, you know what I mean? Just like, okay, I've got one of the best players in Premier League history who plays really well in this particular position. I'll just play him there again. And he'll probably do well. And he has. But equal like getting Gravenberg to be the level he has, like, I don't think anyone saw that coming.
Yeah. To be honest, he's kind of an unsung player that I haven't really focused on too much.
He's just been quality. And everyone said after summer that Liverpool needed to buy 6 and they didn't, and what the hell are they going to do? And now he's probably been the best in the league this year, probably.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's insane. Talking about something that's insane, you found that utter woke nonsense wall.
I did.
And you went viral.
In Soho. Yeah.
Were you the first person to...
I saw it. I found it because I saw it on Twitter and I was like, oh, that's literally 5 minutes from where I work. And I was like, I'll just go there. And it's actually quite a funny thought process because I was like, in the TikTok game, you want to try and get to a minute. Right, because that's where you make money.
Yeah.
And I was like, how can I eke this video out to be a minute long? And I was editing it and I was like, it's just I need to just not do that because like it's just going to make the video terrible. So I was like, you know what, I'll just do it and like hopefully it'll be a good like brand image exercise of like, I won't make anything directly from it, but like people see it. And it's an iconic wall, mate. Iconic wall.
Whoever designed that wall doesn't even know the impact he's had.
It's in Soho. Like it's just near the Soho Hotel. I don't know if
do you know the woke nonsense wall?
No, I haven't seen it.
Well, the Sean Dyche meme.
So it's like a Sean Dyche meme.
Yeah, I know the meme.
Yeah, the actual wall itself.
Yeah, he found the actual wall. He was on
the green wall.
I need to see this.
Ollie was on that guy's jokes.
Yeah.
I literally asked you, when I asked you to come on the pod, that literally popped up on my feed. I think I messaged you when it came up. We can do a little...
You said wall, yeah.
Wall. How will it come up on Twitter, do you think?
Someone just said like... It was like, I can't remember what it was. Someone made like their own little meme of it.
Yeah, so you found that wall.
That's mad.
We'll find it after.
Copper 90 did a funny thing as well where they went to it and put like, they put like a bouquet of flowers on it when Sean Dyche got sacked. And now they just like recycle that every time like there's a new like game's gone thing. They just put that wall up with the bouquet of flowers.
Look at this.
That's the one. Yeah.
They definitely got it from like Tesco's or something.
Yeah. I was like, that's good.
That's really
reusable meme. That.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
That is something I love in football because it absolutely just brings out the stuff around it. Like when I first asked you the question at the start. Now I did a segment when I was with Mike, with another YouTuber, Mikey, in when I was going to film something with him. I thought it'd be a good concept. So, have you guys seen the show Room 101?
I haven't seen it, but I know what it is. Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Nope.
Okay. Cool.
I didn't see much.
Essentially, it's a show on the BBC where you get a category and you say, what's one thing in this category that I don't think should be a thing? So, like, God, it's hard. Like, how would be the best way to accept? So, I've already done mine that I'm actually going to release later today. So, my thing in football that I don't think should be a thing and is going in my Room 101 is players who cut the back of their socks for blood circulation. It does nothing. It does absolutely nothing. I'm sorry. It just looks like ripped jeans on socks. It's like, I'm sure people in Shoreditch are going to be wearing that in 5 times, like in 5 years' time.
Why should, what? So you think people should be...
No, I just don't think it should be a thing. I think it's like, why is... So
that's
in my Room 101.
You think they did it for no reason?
Yes. I'm sorry. It's just another little thing.
You got deep, like, their calves are huge. Like, their muscles are huge.
Yes, and you don't think these companies like Nike and Puma are making socks to deal with that issue?
I definitely don't, no.
You don't think Jack Grealish at Puma's, they're thinking, oh, Grealish
There's
is
a
at
reason
City,
why half of them wear their socks down their fucking calves.
Yeah, so just do that.
Yeah, but like, people
No, I would do that because I hate clunky shin pads. It's not because, well, I'm not a professional footballer, but that's why I would do it. Not for blood circulation. It's a bunch of bollocks, Cheek. Like, it is a bunch of bollocks. That's
the most...
Okay, so here we go. Here's the definition of Room 101. A telecast of a talk show where celebrities discuss things that annoy them the most.
Because I think a room 101 as like a phrase, I looked it up because I was like, I want to make sure I get it right. I think a room 101 is like where they, like, in theory, you get like a prisoner and you put like the least favourite thing in the world with them and it's meant to like break them. I think is what a room 101 is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sense.
So mine was like celebration, please. People who like...
Yes.
People are like, oh, this whole thing going around now of like, oh, you can't celebrate something if you haven't won something. And I saw people talking about Anthony Gordon doing the Thierry Henry celebration at Arsenal. And Arsenal fans being like, oh, why can he celebrate? And like, we can't. He's like, well, he won the under-21 Euros a few years ago. And I'm like, shut up. Do you know what I mean? What do you mean?
Moving goalposts is crazy, man.
I'm like, who can, obviously as a Palace fan, I would say this, but like, it's like we were talking about essay earlier. I'm like, there's more to football than winning. If you don't think you can celebrate anything, if you've not won something, you don't like football, you like winning.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's just lame.
Yeah.
It's just lame.
I think it adds something, and it always puts a smile on my face. If I'm like watching a game where I don't really care about it and I see a sick celebration, the person that comes to mind is Mikel Antonio.
Yeah.
Like when he was doing all those mad celebrations, like when he got the cardboard cutout and started dancing with it. And then like teaching Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher how to dance after the game.
It's just funny.
It's just
like,
nice.
Yeah.
It's nice. But people don't want nice things in football. It has to be...
Go, you go.
No, I was going to say, like, you now even see fucking Nketiah get booked for...
The seagull thing, that's jokes.
When Vardy
of course
Vardy was...
He did it at Palace, and that was also funny.
Vardy's been doing it for time, been winding people up, but, you know...
There's a new thing amongst football fans. It's almost like a high-performance podcast mindset of like, no, everything's got to be efficient and winning and serious and no fun. Like, no, if you're not winning, then you're not... I'm like, but it's fun. Football's going to be a fun thing.
100%.
I think my favourite thing from football is hearing the stories that come from it. Sometimes, like, some TikToks come out. I think, God rest his soul, Kevin Campbell was talking about how they would always get in the piss and, like, get caught by George Graham and they'd have to lie and they got called to Highbury and there was, like, a way in which they knew how to get away with it and George Graham wouldn't catch them. I'm even reading Roy Keane's autobiography right now about how, like, he had his regular place he would go and how Fergie had spies all around Manchester to make sure they weren't getting on it too much and stuff like that. Like, literally, he had people... Fergie literally had a spy network around, like, nightclubs in Manchester. It's, like, a well-known thing.
Oh, mad.
And, like, that was, like, a mind game thing. And, like, Roy Keane says in the autobiography, like, essentially, he knew he couldn't lie because he was told like he will find out.
Yeah.
So like whenever something did like go off in the pub or something like that with Roy Keane, shock. Well, back in the day, Roy Keane doesn't drink now. If he told his version of events, it would make Fergie believe him.
Yeah.
So I love stories like that, everything that comes from it. So yeah, completely agree. Talking about like supporting a team who are like kind of mid-table, and obviously Palace fans are frustrated by that. I was saying to Chika how like I thought the title race wasn't as good because people are losing more and like the level of quality is depleted. And Chika rightfully said, no, it's not that. It's the fact that teams below have improved. Do you think there's a specific reason to why like teams who are like mid-table, like, because there's a lot of overlap now, like seeing where United are on the table, like sometimes I have to be like, what the hell? Even Spurs, I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Like your Brentfords, your Brightons, obviously your Palace. Do you think there's a specific reason why they've improved so much, or has the quality of like your Arsenals, your Cities, Liverpool's just depleted?
I think people see now like mid-table teams as a good opportunity to like showcase that you're good. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're a player or a manager, like going to a Palace or a Nottingham Forest or a Bournemouth or a Fulham is like not a bad thing at all. Like because you're playing in the Premier League, you're playing against some of the best players in the world, and like I think there's a real place now for those mid-table teams to like nurture really good young talent and then like push them on to go and do good things as well. And like that's ultimately good for the league in general. I think like obviously the Premier League's got so much money as well, which helps. Like a mid-table team. Like Bournemouth could go and buy Evan Nilsson from Porto for 50 mil.
They've got more money than AC Milan. Like it's
crazy.
They spend like AC Milan can't buy a striker for more than like 30 mil right now.
Yeah, and like Palace were linked to this AC Milan centre back for like 30 mil. And I'm like, that's a mental sentence if you actually think about it. AC Milan are one of the biggest clubs in the world, and Palace are like actively trying to buy one of their starting centre backs. That makes no sense.
Well, even Marcus Edwards has joined Burnley in the second division.
That's great, but that's just the prospect of playing in the Prem. Probably he's back in. He scored the winner yesterday, didn't he? In the FA Cup. I can't remember who they played, but they did. Southampton.
He's a really, really good. Poch raved about him when he was at Spurs. But he was doing really well at Sport, and he was playing in the Champions League.
That's what I mean. It's like you could just go and mid-table teams have the power now to be like, yeah, you can come play for us. You can earn like really good money, and if you're good enough, you will then get a move because the top Premier League teams have even more money, and I think they're like, it makes sense for them to buy off other Prem teams all the time. Like look at what, like when there's the whole story about when Man City basically like just depleted Arsenal deliberately because they didn't want Arsenal to be a threat. It's like top teams can do that too. If a mid-table team has two players that are too good and it's worrying them, they can just go and buy them.
And they're proven in the league as well. It's less risk.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think we've kind of created our own Super League?
Yeah, 100%. I think so. The budgets are crazy. The amount of money they're getting now, you see what's happened with Mbappe leaving Ligue 1 and Messi going as well, Neymar now. The teams are just derelicts. They have no money to spend, and I think you're going to see that kind of filter across all the other leagues as well. Like the budgets are crazy.
What, because of the Prem?
Yeah, I think so. All the best players are kind of wanting to go to the Prem, and now you have Saudi as well. I don't think it'll be too long until we see like Saudi come maybe like top 5 leagues in the world.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Or Ronaldo thinks he's already there, doesn't he?
Yeah, doesn't he? Well,
he's paid opinion.
How much do you get paid to say that?
From a neutral Saudi ambassador. It's the best league in the world. Money talks. But it's like I watched a good video recently. A guy called Talk Ball on TikTok who's just really good.
I was going to say, I want to bring him on really.
He's so good.
Like, you would love
his videos are amazing. Yeah. And he did a really good one about John Duran. I don't know if you saw, where he was like, obviously the argument people say is like, you know what, he's setting himself up for generational wealth, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And his whole video was like, football shouldn't be like a means to an end. Like, that's not the point of football. It's not like, it's kind of what I said about the winning thing earlier. It's like, the point of like having a career in football is like, to him and to me as well, is like, the stuff you do, it's not about how much money you make at the end of it. Like it's, you know, playing for good teams and winning games and like the actual sport. And it's like, yeah, you can go to ultimately right now the standard of Saudi is a lot lower. So like, I think it's disingenuous for people to be like, oh yeah, well first of all the league is fine out there because it's not as good, but also like, so what if you can go and earn money there? That's not the point. And also, someone else made a good point. They were like, he was on like 60 grand a week. If you can't set yourself up for the rest of your life on 60 grand a week for like 15 years, get a financial advisor.
Well, also he, I'm not going to get too much into politics, but he's not married, so he's.
He lives in Bahrain.
He lives in Bahrain.
Well, no, but they have you not seen the Al Nasser? He's Al Nasser.
Yeah,
They called that as fake news. Obviously, on that, I'd take it with a pinch of salt. But they said we said it's not true. And there's no proof. No one's going to be able to prove it or disprove it.
Yeah.
But they claimed that was a lie. But obviously,
I heard the same thing with Ronaldo when obviously he's not married as well, and they made like a special thing for him to make him able to do that. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. It's just like it's a government project basically, so they can ultimately just decide whatever if they want to.
Yeah, I find it weird that even in that league, 4 of the teams are owned by the government.
Yeah,
and then all the other teams literally have no money.
Well, it's like like Al Hilal. I didn't realize that like Al Hilal didn't own Neymar. Like he was owned by, like I don't know if it was PIF or like he was owned by like a wider body, and he played for Al Hilal.
Yeah.
So like they didn't pay his wages technically. I'm pretty sure it was like a real technicality, which obviously would never happen in any other league. But because it's like it's like an economic diversification project basically, the Saudi league.
Yeah, they're all owned by the same person. Right.
Yeah. That's so weird.
It's not like different owners. Like the top 5 teams are owned by the same person.
Yeah, it's like it's Al Hilal, Al Nasser. I can't remember who the other two were.
and then another one. Yeah,
maybe Al Ettifaq.
Yeah. Ettifaq. That's where Jared
in a way that ruins competitiveness, and in a way, it kind of
it's sports washing.
Well, yeah. Well, it is, but like I'm just thinking if that ruins the competitiveness, because if you go out there and it's like, wait, they spent more money than us this transfer window. It's like
I do wonder what the long term future or goal of that is. Obviously, like the short term goal is like pay big money to get the stars in, but it's like ultimately like do they want it to be like a hyper competitive, like hostile tribal league? Well, is it now? I don't know.
I've seen some of the atmosphere at some of the games.
They've released it's like called the 2030 plan or something like that.
Yeah.
Where they basically want it to be seen as like one of the biggest entertainment hubs in the world. Kind of like how you have New York, LA, Paris, London. They kind of want, Saudi and the rest of the Middle East, this to be the kind of the focus. That's why they have like Riyadh season in boxing and all that other stuff.
Well, they're building that city, Qiddiya. So they're building the Lion City.
Yeah.
Which is obviously like well publicised, but they're building one called Qiddiya, which is like the ultimate end. It's going to have like F1 track, 2 football stadiums, the biggest theme park in the world. They want to have like a Universal thing there. So, and it's like the pure point of it. It's just like a big entertainment city.
Sounds like the best Disneyland ever.
Yeah, I want to go and just experience it for myself and just kind of just take it all in at some point. Maybe if they're hiring, I'll leave. I'll go to a pod over that side of the world.
Talking about players leaving and going to Saudi, there are plenty of players leaving United at the moment. Mm-hmm. Sorry, that was a really crap segue. I was trying to think of a way in which I could do it. We were talking about Zirkzee earlier, and I think there's a player there. I'm just, I've written down in the notes, Anthony, in 2 matches, a goal, man of the match, or maybe 2 man of the matches, I'm not sure. Best announcement video ever, by the way. Terrible. Sancho has left, hasn't like set the world on fire at Chelsea, but definitely has done well. And then Elanga at Forest this season has been absolutely fantastic. This is a very common occurrence. Is there like some sort of magic being placed on Man United right now or something? Because I can't remember a club that have ruined the careers of so many players than this United squad and establishment in the last 3-4 years. I just don't understand.
It's also nailed on that Rashford's going to do really well at Villa.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Like I don't know what it is. It's just what a toxic environment to do. Because Anthony started well at United. He scored in like his first 3 games, and I was like, I remember being like, oh my god, like I love it when a player joins a club for like big money and does well. I think it's like quite fun, and like obviously there's loads of pressure on them. It feels like it's quite a nice reward. And when he scored against Arsenal, I was like, damn, like this is it. They've like worked out their right wing problem, and now obviously, poor guy. Yeah. Well, not poor guy. He's also a bellend, but
another poor guy.
But like, it's I don't know. It's just toxic. How do you undo that? Because like Ineos came in and they were originally meant to be, because the problem was the Glazers for a lot of United fans still are, to be fair. But like Ineos came in and like I mean, the way they have done things has been so bad, like PR-wise, like cancelling like the Christmas party.
Yeah.
And like, you know what's really funny? You could see online people who have been in the working world and who haven't been in the working world, because they're like, what's wrong with that? We're just saving money. Why do they deserve a Christmas party? And I'm like, if you have a job and you don't cancel the Christmas party,
no,
do you know what I mean?
No,
you don't do that.
No,
that's just because, like, if you want people to like working with you, you give them basic perks, including a Christmas party.
Yeah.
And like, if you're a Man United fan or a Man United employee, and you see players getting paid like hundreds of thousands of pounds a week, and they can't even put, like, you need a fraction of that for a Christmas party.
Even cancelling bonuses and stuff.
Yeah,
like
it's
that,
like it's just like, it doesn't really sit right with me. Like, they have this whole thing of like, oh yeah, we're super efficient, we're so good at doing it. But it's like, but you've also got to be like a human. Do you know what I mean?
I suppose I couldn't see Real Madrid going through a whole rebuild. Right now, I couldn't see like a Barcelona going through a rebuild, just because of the shit. I think when we're talking about big clubs, I think Arsenal are a big club, but they're not global like Man United are. They're not global like Real Madrid. So I think Arteta coming in and changing a lot of the culture in Arsenal would be maybe not a lot easier, but easier. I think they've got such a past. It's so hard to rewrite a new future.
Because also, like, when you think of like Barcelona and Real Madrid, like their size and success spanned like multiple eras, right?
Yeah.
Of like, they had like the Galacticos, and then like even like earlier than that, like they obviously had all those like superstars like Puskas and stuff, whatever, the 60s, and then they had like Ronaldo, like CR7 Ronaldo. Whereas like Man United was Sir Alex Ferguson in the class of 90. And it's like, nothing else. Obviously, they had Ronaldo and Rooney too, who were really good, but like that was the spine of it. And like, once you rip that out, like what is Man United outside of that? I know they had like the Busby Babes before, but like, I don't know. I think it's difficult to rebuild a dynasty of any kind when you rip that out. Because even like Arsenal, like he said, it's on a smaller level, but like. That was so much of like Wenger and Henry, and like you've kind of landed on something else now. But it is different to what it was before. It's a different thing. It's a different 100%. Project. So, but I don't like.
It's not something Arsenal fans want to admit. Man United as a club are a bigger global entity.
Definitely.
There's no question about it. No, but I think some Arsenal fans would argue against that. When I went there recently, as much as I thought, it feels a bit like bleak. You definitely felt like the sadness of the club at the moment. You definitely feel the history as well.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been to a club where I felt so much history. So yeah, we've discussed it. I don't know why players are doing so bad right now.
I don't know how you change it.
I think it's just the hardest club to play for. Like we mentioned it earlier, just playing in that stadium. Like, even like when I was there, I went to a couple night games and I was just like, whoa, like I wasn't even playing. I felt a bit nervous walking up the steps. Do you know
Did you?
Yeah.
Like, what? I got like goosebumps almost, kind of watching it. It was like a night game. The game was dead, but like just like having like 80,000 people singing and just like the game passing by. I was just looking around like it's just so many people. Like, so I can understand the pressure for playing for that club, and like when you're in a cycle of not playing well, and like the fans do get on you like from the first minute. Like they'll be caught. You probably going to get the ball from it coming out of play, they're probably swearing at you like, you fucking idiot, this and that. So like, it's not hard hearing groans on every touch you make, every pass you make. So it's like, I think that it's just like now in a negative cycle, and I think they might actually lose this stardom that they have, this global presence they have, if it continues like this for another 2-3 years.
Well, so I think you speaking there just like made me triggered a thought in me. Like, Real Madrid as an establishment. Right now, you think of people at the top. You think of Perez. At Barcelona, you think La Masia. And for the longest time at Man United, you think Fergie. So you're thinking about something that is very replaceable. Whereas it's a lot harder to replace a whole academy system. It's a lot harder to replace higher ups like presidents. As much as Perez is like the only one that runs every year. I think something crazy like that. I suppose it's just maybe they're a victim of their own success in the sense of they've relied on something that is way easier, which is more subject to change compared to these other big clubs. That's the only way I can think about it. I think playing for a big club on the decline as well is obviously helpful, but I genuinely can't think of a club that has affected players so much.
Yeah. Well, because I think of like Chelsea, and like obviously they've become a big club, and like what's that success been built on? But theirs is almost like intrinsically, like not being afraid at all to constantly tear it apart and start again, and I'm like, obviously, it's kind of like a bit like morally like, oh, that's a bit of a shame that you just so quickly get rid of people. But equally, like that probably is a better to become a big club long term. You're not relying on anything there. It's just like no, managers and players come in and they know they'll have a 2 or 3 year window, and if you don't win anything, you're gone. And it's like probably quite a good motivator, really. Whereas like United just like, what are they? I think Amorim is a good start. I know he's having a terrible time right now, but like I think he's a good figurehead. And like ultimately, I think to start off any rebuild, you need to have someone that like everyone just likes, and like respects and supports. And like again, like Arteta got that early. It's like. Yeah, he's, like people want like a young manager who has a clear identity, has some sort of like potential. People love potential, and I think I do think Amorim has that ultimately.
It's great potential, but I'm seeing some of the stuff he's been saying in the media, and he's letting his tempers kind of get the best of him. Like you hear about him smashing up TVs. You hear about
seriously?
Yeah, you not see that after what game was it? Did you see it?
Yeah, I heard about that.
And he smashed up a TV after like one of their bad losses at home in front of the players. He said it's the worst Man United team. Like, he can, like, that's very negative. I feel like if you get in that space and you're not playing, your team's not playing the way you want them to play, and you're playing players out of position and they're not doing well, and you're taking all these risks and you're making the same mistakes over and over again, after a while, you're not really going to see much progression from the Ten Hag experience. Yeah. I think the ownership is going to be quite patient with him, but at the same time, you don't want to be in this negative cycle where you're still meandering across mid-table and kind of getting results here and there, but really and truly the football's not exciting. You're not getting results and you're making weird comments in the media. Like it's literally that three as a combination is just so detrimental to how people and your fans will kind of view, in my opinion.
I saw I tweeted the other day like asking like at what point does Amorim come under pressure? I'm not saying he should now, but like what is the limit? And like some United fans were like, oh, basically this season's complete, right? If it would be from next season where he's judged. And it was like, well, as long as we stay up this year, like that's all that really matters. And I'm like, that is a crazy, and like you're right. Also, I'm like, that is crazy to think like that is now. It's like, well, as long as we don't go down, and you're Man United.
That when you just said that was the first thing that came to my head. Yeah. As long as they avoid relegation.
Yeah, it's like ultimately, that's just the bare. I guess that is the bare minimum. Ultimately, every club's bare minimum expectation every season is don't go down.
Imagine they went down.
That'd be jokes.
I'd love it. A few families.
Maddest moment of the week. For any OG fans, the two out there, know that this is like a regular segment. Now, do you guys want to go first or should I?
No, I think you're gagging for it, mate.
Go for it.
Pause. All right. It's FA Cup weekend. As we're recording right now, we've just seen Plymouth 1-0 up against Liverpool, which is crazy. So I think you've predicted their downfall pretty on time. You may be a genius.
I don't want to speak too soon, but I called it.
So I was just like on YouTube the other day, and I couldn't find, like when like you have lunch and you want to watch something whilst you're eating. I found like a little FA Cup story with Laurie Sanchez and Wickham, and it's a story about a guy called Essendon. In 2001, Wickham got to the quarterfinals and they're playing against Leicester, who are like a Premier League team. And you know how like Arsenal fans are like crying out for a striker right now and like absolutely desperate for one. Wickham literally had no strikers going into the quarterfinal of the FA Cup. And you old enough to remember CFAX?
No. CFAX?
You're our age, like teletext.
Oh right, yeah.
Like teletext.
Teletext.
Yeah, I remember teletext.
Yeah.
That's how I remember teletext, because that's how I found out Arsenal blew a full goal lead against Newcastle. It was in this very room, and I got it off on teletext, and Toyota had scored that banger. So essentially, they were so desperate they put on a teletext as an advertisement, and they just plastered everywhere, and he had to not be FA Cup tied. So they found this random bloke called Essendon who came in for the game and ended up signing a 2-week contract and started on the bench.
Yeah.
Now, Leicester thought, they've got no striker, so we're going to walk this. I think Robbie Savage was saying, like, we thought we had won it. That classic Leicester team with the Walkers kit. I think before this, he had only played 2 games for Rushden and Diamonds in, like, the non-league. So it gets to the end of the game. It's 1-1. In the 89th minute, Essendon, who they signed through teletext, scores the winner with a header. I don't know why that's not talked about enough. And apparently, he didn't come close to scoring a goal for the rest of the season. I think that was his only goal was to score in an FA Cup final to send them through to the semi-finals against Liverpool.
Damn.
For Wickham.
I've never heard that story.
No, never.
I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, that's mad.
I think I might win this. win this one.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Also, I just want to shout out. Was it Jay? I had to write it down because I'd never heard of him before. But Jamie Donnelly lobbing Man City from the halfway line at Orient yesterday was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was filth. Although it went down as an own goal in the end.
Yeah, but he still did it.
Shame.
Yeah. Beckham who? All right.
The one that I found, again, similar to you, this didn't happen this week, but I thought I read about it on the way here. Did you know that Morten Gamst Pedersen was in a band?
What?
No.
The Players.
Is it any good?
It was a Norwegian musical project. That sounds very East London.
Is this like obviously after retirement and stuff?
No, this was in 2006, 2009.
What?
So this is while he was playing in the Prem.
He was a diver as well.
He was also a singer. Yeah. It was 5 professional footballers: Freddie Dos Santos, Morten Gamst Pedersen, Raymond Kvisvik, Christopher Heistad, and Oyvind Svenning. I think I've done quite well with those pronunciations. I think, but yeah, he released a song, and I think it like charted for like 4 weeks in Sweden, and it peaked.
Wait, they're Norwegian, but they charted in Sweden.
No, Norwegian. Sorry, in
okay, cool.
So no, but they did it right. It's a very very short Wikipedia page. If you look it up, I saw a clip on Twitter earlier, and he sings.
Is he good?
Bonkers.
Well, he's
all
alright.
A 10-second preview.
Let me find it.
To be fair, do you know who else was is in the band? Thomas Rositzky.
Oh shit, no, I know that.
He's like in a heavy metal.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's like a bit of like an emo, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a bit of an emo.
Yeah, they released a single "This Is For Real" with proceeds from the sale of the single going to the Red Cross charity project called Soccer Against Crime. There you go.
Okay, that's up there. Morten Gamst Pedersen. I've always wanted to do like a video on him just because I love I think Blackburn in like early noughties, and I just think him. All right, you got yours. Yours is usually a tangent. Which podcast have you plagiarised now?
Where are you getting your information? There's no such thing as authentic information. You know, it's all passed down. You know.
Go on.
At least just do some fact checking.
Oh my god.
Well, I don't want to say the guy's name and I get it wrong.
Okay,
can I? Okay, this is a story about Juma Bar.
How are you gonna say that wrong?
No, but obviously I don't know, it was Bar Juma, but you know what I mean? Like, anyway, Juma Bar, obviously I'm a fellow West African, so like any kind of story to do with something around my heritage, I kind of get a bit emotional. But Juma Bar, I think he was playing in the Sierra Leonean League for like a team called like Freetonians or Freetownians or something like that. And somehow he's got scouted for like Why are you laughing?
Sorry, I just know where this is gonna go.
What? Okay.
It's just gonna be some mad story.
No,
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
Say what you're gonna say.
No, I'm enjoying it.
No, go on.
I'm complimenting you because your stories are always really good.
He said it's gonna be the maddest. What?
No, it's gonna be the maddest one. I'm saying you're gonna win.
Okay, cool. No, I think it's more heartfelt rather than like fun.
Oh.
So but yeah, like I think he was playing in like Sierra Leone League, and I think he got scouted to play for Real Valladolid in the Liga, and it was kind of like a special story. Obviously, I'm missing out a few gaps here and there. You know, it's not fresh from my mind, but and he got scouted, got brought over to do some trials, played in a reserve game, and after one reserve game, he was starting the next game against Real Sociedad, and basically it's just kind of transferred to the fact that City are now trying to buy the guy.
Oh, no
from
way.
Real Valladolid after like a couple games that he's now played. I think he's been there for 6 months in total from being in the reserve team to go into their first team, and now City are inquiring about making a transfer for him.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so like literally in the space of 6 months, he's gone from playing in Sierra Leone. Like, there's pictures of him playing in like the mud.
Yeah.
Like,
no, that's crazy.
And like now, like City are rumored to buy him and then loan him out to another club and stuff like that. So I thought that was a crazy story.
That is a crazy
That
story.
is really good, and it's more recent.
Yeah.
I when you were talking about your Wickham story, reminded me of when Danny Butterfield played up front for Palace. I don't know if you've heard that before. So Danny Butterfield was like a right back for Palace who, like, just a bog standard mid 2000s right back. I think he scored like 2 goals for us in like 7 or 8 years. We had no fit. We did have a fit striker, but we played like 4-4-2, and we had Wolves in the FA Cup. And Neil Warnock's wife, I think, had a dream that Danny Butterfield scored the night before, I think is the story. So he played Danny Butterfield up front from right back, and he scored a perfect hat trick in 6 minutes against Wolves, and we won 3-1. That did happen. I watched the game.
I've heard this story. I think I've heard this story. That's mad. Yeah.
Yeah, he scored a perfect hat trick, and we won. And this is when we're in the Championship. Wolves were in the Prem.
Mad.
And he never played up front again. He just did it. Just went back to right back.
I thought that was good. I mean, that's like a better version of David James when he got put up front as well. God, you've added another one there. That's cheating.
I've cheated.
Yeah.
I got inspiration from your one. I just said no information is authentic. I just got past inspiration from yours.
Even though you've kind of plagiarised a bit, because I saw a reel you were watching getting that information.
What, do you think I've gone to like The Guardian to find some little thing like that?
You were in Sierra Leone.
I am the scout.
I'll give it you.
Yeah, agreed.
Story.
Yeah, it's a really good story.
Yeah, I'll take that. I wouldn't have given it to me, but
okay.
Humble.
I think you guys, your story's pretty good.
Okay.
So wholesome.
Yeah, I think I've got a good segue now.
Talking of Sierra Leone.
Talking about wholesome stories and like players that you love because of stories like that. Is there a player in the league, and this is taking inspiration from your TikToks, that you just irrationally love?
Yeah. I'll do the one I said in the TikTok, I think I made. Thomas Souček. I love him. I don't know why. I just love him. Like, there's something about a player who just like, it just does the basics well. I love a tall midfielder that scores goals. Like, I love like a box crashing centre mid, and I'm watching him like score from. And also the fact that like he's obviously technically, he's professional football. He's obviously pretty good, but like in terms of like you look at other players in the West Ham team, he's not up there. But he just always gets in the team. He always is played. West Ham fans always want him dropped, and he gets dropped, and then they start doing badly, and he comes back in, and they start doing well. I like that.
Yeah.
And he loves potato salad.
Yeah, exactly. He's just an old school like. He's just a simple footballer. Yeah, and I really like that about Thomas Souček. I don't know why. Like, also it's definitely FPL influence because I had him like a few years ago, the COVID year.
FPL was literally the one.
5 mil, and he was banging them in. Like,
he just kind of gives innocent.
Yeah, he's just very likable player.
That celebration though.
What was it?
Have you seen the celebration?
What, he just like he puts his
arms
out,
he goes like this, he goes like in 360
in circles as he's running.
Awful celebration.
That's what I mean. Just even better.
Yeah, no,
it's like when you're pressing random buttons on FIFA, like you don't know the celebration.
Just running through the field, just going like,
Thomas Souček definitely for me.
Mine's always because he's got a twin brother. It's Jacob Murphy for Newcastle. Isn't it?
I hate Jacob Murphy.
What?
He's just annoying.
Did you not see his smile when he heard the Champions League music against AC Milan?
Yeah. Like, that's super wholesome, but I just hate him.
He seems like so... Okay, cool. Since that one went down like a
but it is irrational, I think.
Yeah. Tyler Adams for Bournemouth.
Really? That is random.
It's really random. I don't think an American should play football so much like an English player.
Yeah.
He's such like a centre midfield shithouse, always getting into scraps. I love it. And it's like, I can just imagine him doing the whole Clint Dempsey. You don't know where I'm from, dog. Like, he plays football like a 1970s English centre midfielder for Leeds.
Yeah.
And he did play for Leeds.
He did, yeah.
Well, what's his... like, there was a really famous Scottish centre midfielder in like the 70s, 80s for Leeds. Oh, what's his name? The Scouse actor played him in that film about Brian Clough. Damned United, yeah.
I can't even remember.
Billy Bremner? I think it's Billy Bremner. I could be wrong. I don't know how I've remembered that. But Tyler Adams is the most un-American footballer I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I love his game. And I think, actually, off the ball, Tyler Adams is fairly underrated. As a DM, I think...
He's doing really well for Bournemouth now, isn't he?
Yeah, and he was injured for ages.
Yeah,
He was like out for like a year.
He got to run a lot.
At one point, before he got injured at Leeds, I was like, I would take him at Arsenal. I don't think he'd get him now. I think he's a completely different player. But I don't think he's at the technical level. Yeah.
It's about running a lot.
Yeah.
Not run a lot.
Cannot run at all.
But yeah, defensively, he's just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And he just gets about and always wants to scrap. So
he's a good player.
And then just a random one, I have absolutely no reason. Jacob Greaves
from Ipswich.
Jacob Greaves for Ipswich. I don't know.
You just like his hair, that's it. No?
Yeah, he's got good hair. Yeah.
Remember you signed him, like, Ipswich is staying up. No,
that guy's hair is too good to go
No, that's it. It's just like, these guys are staying up.
Yeah, football feels, man.
Football feels.
This is my thing. Like, I make the most stupid points ever because of the football feels. I always have like a team every year.
They're always wrong.
Yeah. Like I love Bournemouth when they first came up. Cause I don't know, it's the football feels. Everyone was against them. And then what was last year's? Luton, because of their.
But everyone liked Luton last year.
And they had.
He made me hate Luton.
Really?
He made me hate Luton. I hate Ipswich. I hate.
Yeah, Ipswich is my team this year, but that's because my grandparents lived in Suffolk as well, partly. I never said that.
The
before.
Forest manager as well.
Oh, Steve Cooper.
Steve Cooper, I hate him as well.
Yeah, that's a random person to love, Steve Cooper.
I feel sorry for him.
He's such a moaner though. Like he blames. Like one of my mates is a Leicester fan, and he was like, they'd like lose a game and they'd been terrible, and he'd be like, the ref was just dreadful today. And Leicester fans would be like, the ref was fine, we were shit.
Because his dad was a ref.
Yeah. Just constantly blame the ref. I don't like that for that reason.
To be honest, part of my Luton love was I just love Chiadoze Ogbene. Like that makes no sense probably as well.
He was good, to be fair.
Yeah. Now he's at Ipswich.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Oh, there you go.
You can't get. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
He got injured. He got ACL.
Yeah, he hasn't played a game, but he's there still. Who's yours?
Ashley Westwood.
Wow, that is so
the Burnley centre midfielder.
Why?
It was kind of fueled by fantasy, I think.
Well, he was like a 4.5 million midfielder for a while.
4.5 million.
Corners.
Yeah.
You always have those punts at the beginning of your seasons. It's just like, this guy's doing well. He plays every game. But then I started watching a few Burnley games just because I was like, I need him to get a few points here. But he never really got me anything. But that love always has stayed. Like, I don't know, Ashley Westwood, decent haircut, tucked in his shorts.
Oh, so now who's talking about haircuts?
Yeah, come on.
FPL is the reason I hate Chris Wood, because I had him at the start of the COVID. I was banging FPL at the start of the COVID year because what else was there to do?
Yeah.
And I had him for like 7 games. He scored 1 goal in that time, and that was the winner against Palace. And then I sold him, and he scored a hat-trick. And I was like, fuck this guy. I've never liked him since. Even now I was raving like Chris Wood. I'm like, nah. I'm not happy for him.
Yeah, I don't want to put him in.
I'm praying on his downfall.
No,
I used to really like Ben Foster as well. This was before he became a podcaster, vlogger.
Yeah.
I was always a big fan of Ben Foster. I thought he was really underrated when he played for like Watford.
Yeah, and West Brom.
Yeah, he was good.
Really good. There's one player I just want to mention, and you're going to get so annoyed. Watch his face when I say this name. There's been a striker movement in the Premier League. He's called Evan Ferguson. And here we go. I like follow Ireland as well because I'm British Irish. I've got a mix of both. Oh, shut up!
I didn't know. Talks about every day.
So stop laughing too much behind the camera. I'm not enjoying this. I'm fuming at that. How well Miles Lewis has done. All right, have a day. Let me have my moment. I'm waiting the whole podcast for this and added it in the end.
Days.
See how well Miles Lewis, Skelly and Ranieri have been hit the ground running and stuff like that. Ferguson was doing that for a short while at Brighton, and there were England fans going, he's got to play for us because he's got an English mum.
Fraud.
Do you think?
Absolute fraud, Evan Ferguson.
Oh.
You're not saying that because of the rivalry.
Oh, yeah.
He's a scammer. You talk about Brighton scammers, mate. Evan Ferguson scored a hat-trick against Newcastle. What else has he ever done? in the Premier League.
He scored 6 goals in 13 matches in his first season at 18.
Oh, but doesn't mean that you can charge 100 million for it.
No, I'm not saying that.
I just have never seen it.
Imagine if they even got 80 million from him and he's doing what he's doing.
Well,
I would say because
Alan Shearer said,
"Oh Christ,
this is the best. There are no obvious weaknesses in his game."
Is it a colour thing? You gotta ask yourself, is it a colour thing?
that meme, I love how that meme has become a thing. Because he makes a really it's obviously a really important thing that he's saying, but the example he is using is so bad. It's like, do Tottenham fans hate me because it's a colour thing? Even though I moved to Arsenal after saying to Spurs fans I wouldn't leave, and then I'm like, no, Spurs fans hate you because how could you not hate him as a Spurs fan?
Honestly, you cannot apply it.
I think he's got more leverage with his. Is it a colour thing than Sol Campbell's?
Whenever I was in an argument at school, it was literally I was just you racist.
I know
that's how he brought it.
You do it to me every podcast.
But Evan Ferguson,
shut up.
I'm happy to I'm happy to rate Brighton play. I think Caicedo's quality, and I really rate him at Brighton. McAllister the same, really good. I think Verbruggen's really good. I don't get the Evan Ferguson thing. I just never have understood it.
I think he's got. I think technically he's brilliant. He's got great close
what
control.
He wants to say,
physically, he's fantastic.
He's Irish. That's it. That's it. That's what you say. What you really want to say.
I just want him to be Robbie.
He's
Keane.
Irish.
I just want another Robbie Keane in my life.
Only likes him because he's Irish.
We came close with Shane Long. I just want another Robbie Keane. Even Kevin Doyle was touching Robbie Keane's.
The fact that Brighton have loaned him to West Ham, they can't. I know that he has injuries and needs minutes, but he can't be that good if Brighton are 9th and they're loaning him out.
I think I don't know.
10th,
I think
maybe 11th.
I think he's got great close control. I think he's a great finisher. I think he's been unlucky with injuries. He ruptured something.
Yeah, no, I know.
What did he rupture?
I don't know.
Let's find out. I bet it was just a sprained ankle.
No, it was not a sprained ankle. He ruptured something quite serious.
I'm getting
out for a year. He's a unit. I think he's very athletic. He's been playing first team football since he was 15. I think he came in and everyone was raving about him.
Not me. Full-time
I think he's a fantastic
ankle
finisher.
Injury. He sprained his ankle.
No,
he
did not sprain his ankle. All right, I'm just going to leave it on this. Leverkusen were in for him before he went to West Ham. Xabi Alonso was back in a Ferguson.
Leverkusen were in for Mateta before Mateta became good.
Yeah.
So do you? But is
there you go. Prove my point.
Is Xabi Alonso's talent ID actually just really bad?
No.
And he got lucky that Mateta
brought
good.
Taya in. Great signing. Yeah. He brought in Frimpong from Celtic. Turned out to be brilliant. Oh no, he didn't actually. Frimpong was there before.
Bundesliga tax, mate.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I just don't. Evan Ferguson will probably go on to be a decent Prem striker.
I'm not saying he's gonna be the best striker of all time.
The next Harry Kane.
No,
I hated that.
Jesus, he went 33 games without a goal. Jesus.
Yeah, so he's going to be a decent Premier League striker. No, I think
Richard Dunn was probably more prolific.
I think. All right, I'm gonna let's clip this out. I think Evan Ferguson will do well at West Ham.
What's well? Tell me, how many goals? 4.
How long have we got left? How many games left? 15.
Yeah, probably around that.
About 15. I reckon he'll bag 5.
Is that well?
Yeah, 1 in 3.
You starting striker for West Ham. You got.
He's 20 years old.
Yeah,
he's young.
Yeah, but
I reckon he won't even play 5 games. It would be injured. It is really funny that West Ham, with massive injury crisis up front, have gone and got Evan Ferguson, probably the most injury-prone striker in the league. Because he obviously had a really bad injury, which then causes other injuries. But he can't stay fit. So why would you go and get him if you need a striker for 6 months?
Because he's fit now. And Alan Shearer said there's no obvious weaknesses in his game.
Evan Ferguson.
There's a reason why.
He's an industry plant. Evan Ferguson is an industry plant. He is. So is Nico O'Reilly, the guy who played for Man City yesterday. I had never heard of him before last week, ever. And now everyone's like, yeah, finally O'Reilly's getting his chance for Man City. I'm like, who is that? Who is this person?
I think Kwanzaa's a bit of an industry plant as well.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
he is an industry plant.
He was just brought through the academy to create great Twitter drama.
DM Astrid Wet, do it.
Do it. PR.
Oh, that's terrible.
All right, okay. Who's a young player that you think isn't valued and will come good?
Come back to me on that one.
As in, like, who I think will go back as a...
I'm trying to
Well,
think.
outside, like, the obvious ones, because obviously, like...
Because personally, I think a lot of people are reactionary online nowadays. Like, if someone has, like, 3 bad games, they're the worst ever player that's ever lived.
Yeah.
Is there a player whose form is dips that you think can definitely bring it back?
Well, this is obviously incredibly biased, but... And he's been injured. His form hasn't dipped, but I think Adam Wharton is, like, unreal. I don't think people realise how good he is.
Really?
He's just, like...
100%.
He's just, like, the way he plays, I'm just like, what the heck? Like, he is unbelievable.
When you look at him, you don't think he's going to be that sort of baller that can actually like be good under pressure, progress the ball, kind of like.
He's like a Spanish centre mid.
Yeah, he plays Spanish, but he just looks so British.
Yeah. Like I think like there was some debate between Man United and Palace fans, like him versus Mainu. Yeah. And like obviously the Man United fans' argument was like it's disrespectful to even compare him to Kobbie Mainu, and like they're very different players. You can't really compare them, but that like I really do believe they are. Like, he is up there with the best youngsters in the world, Adam Wharton. I really believe that. If any player was to leave Palace for like 100 million, he's like 20, yeah. If any player was to leave Palace for 100 million, it would be Wharton.
What I when he got in the England squad, I'm not going to lie, he kind of, as someone who doesn't watch Palace regularly, I started like watching a few highlights of him. And I haven't seen too much of the guy. What instantly caught my eye was how pinpoint his forward passing is.
He's such a progressive passer.
Yeah,
just like...
Yeah.
And that's so hard, and especially for Palace, like he'd just get the ball in midfield, turn back, like just forward, and always pick people out. And yeah, he was just on a different level last year to like any Palace midfielder I've ever seen.
Yeah, you're gonna hate me for saying this, but his forward passes and the progressive passes almost remind me of Xhaka at Arsenal.
I was actually gonna say I don't know if it was too big a comparison, but like Jack Wilshere.
I don't think he's got the thing about Wilshere is he would. I can't see Adam Wharton. Correct me if I'm wrong. From the clips I've seen, does Wharton have that low centre of gravity that
he's like bigger, like, but he doesn't move as well. I don't.
He doesn't have that burst and that jink, but he's still able to evade pressure just with probably I think his mentals.
And it's probably better because he'll avoid injuries. That's what killed Wilsh. Yeah. He was so good at dribbling. He knew he would kind of attract bad tackles, and that's how he done his ankle. So if Wharton's brain can get him around that, that is the best thing ever. So
I think he'll I think he'll play a lot of games for England. Wharton, he's like exactly the kind of player that you want to have next to Rice.
He made the Euro squad, and I was kind of at certain points when the football was looking so bland.
Yeah,
I was just like, this guy should probably be playing.
Yeah.
Like
he just gets the ball off centre backs, isn't afraid to get it under pressure.
No one that can really do that, and like I feel like when you have Declan Rice doing that, I think it can get a bit stale. You kind of need to use Declan Rice and have someone there to dictate the tempo. And I think
Rice, Wharton. It's bad how we always bring it back to Arsenal, but let's enjoy the play. I saw you do a TikTok recently where it's like enjoy players now. We don't appreciate players enough at the time, and maybe he's one we should just enjoy at Palace because you never know. There could be that one move.
Years, unless something goes horribly wrong in his career.
Yeah. Do you think almost players move too young nowadays? I think it's pretty much the same thing. I've just seen, as I've got older, I've seen more and more, and maybe this is just an age thing, a lot of players doing so well and then make the move at the wrong time.
But clubs are just obsessed with buying young players. Yeah. They're obsessed with it.
Have you seen
the
Norwegian guy? That Norwegian guy that City, Arsenal, and a lot of other clubs are trying to buy. Called Nygaard or something like that.
Which makes it confusing because Arsenal have a youth player called Nygaard already.
Yeah.
A keeper.
So this guy, he obviously was. I think Arsenal wanted to sign him this window. It was kind of like a main pursuit that we've had, and I think City wanted him as well. He's going around watching all the teams play, and I think they made a decision basically for him to wait until the summer to make his decision on who to join. And I think his father, his agent, basically like sets up this whole like grid, which is like 10 criterias to judge each club on.
Yeah.
And like that is how it should be. You should take your time, take your patience to see what is the right move, because really and truly, like it can dictate the rest of your career wherever you go.
Well, didn't Memphis Depay do that before he went to Lyon? He employed like a stats company that said, I think he was a free agent, I think, or like he was like moving. Maybe it was when he left United actually.
He left United to join them.
But they were like, here are the teams that suit you best in terms of what you're good at, and they said Lyon was the best, and obviously went there and he did really well.
Yeah.
So like, I think players have a lot more agency.
De Bruyne did that as well.
Really?
So he was negotiating a new contract with City like years ago, and basically I think they kind of were butting heads on what he was worth to the club, so that he hired an agency to basically present the information. This is what I brought to the club. Without me, you wouldn't have done this.
Same with Ben White.
And he got his money. Is it?
Ben White did the exact same thing. He said like how it basically illustrated how he was one of the best right backs on form in the world, and like I think Barcelona, there was something to do with Barcelona with it, and I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head, but he employed like a agency again, and he got a really nice contract extension. And too right.
Where's he gone?
Yeah.
Find Ben White.
Yeah. Well, he's back now in Dubai. All right, so we have been recording for ages, and I'm very conscious. I mean, it's the best thing ever because I feel like the conversation just flowed. I felt like, honestly, mate, that was, out of all the podcasts we've done, I don't think one's flowed as well as that.
It's good fun.
Really enjoyable.
90+8, still Plymouth 1, Liverpool 0.
Should we stick it on? All right, before we do that...
we'll stick one. We're going to watch 1 minute.
All right, fair enough. We outro usually...
There's no quiz?
I forgot to prepare one.
Next time.
We'll do one like on, I don't know, I'll give you a Skype or something. Ollie, you've got 2 minutes at work and he's asking some question about...
I'll do the quiz. He makes it too easy.
Yeah. It got to the point where Sully thought I was going to ask Thierry what sport do Arsenal play. That's how easy I was making it. Now, we've been recording for a long time, so I'm going to keep this very quick. We're going to do our Freak of the Week, and we're going to do our Howler of the Week. Freak of the Week is essentially someone who has performed very well, a team or an individual, and a howler is a howler. We had name. Yeah, exactly. Me and Chika just spoke off camera, and we want to give it to North London. As we're recording in North London has not had a good week. We've been absolutely taken a piss out of in St James's Park. You know they played humble in St James's Park after we lost as well. Fair. Anthony Gordon said it in an interview. By the way, absolutely loved that from them.
I don't think he said it deliberately. That's why I think he just...
Really?
Yeah, I don't think he was taking a nibble or taking a shot. Because, like, why would Newcastle care?
Well, they played humble.
Newcastle hate us.
Like, and Gordon did the Henry celebration at the Emirates.
Yeah.
He definitely said it. But I love it. I think good on him. Fair play. Good crack. And, Tottenham. Tottenham. We've got a Freak of the Week.
Well, mate, Plymouth.
Yeah.
It's the most obvious one.
Yeah.
Apparently their keeper had a really good game. I mean, because this week, I feel like there's not been many shocking things this week. Everything's been relatively... FA Cup weekend, you've got to give it to a cup set.
Yeah.
What about Millwall?
Yeah, that was a good win away at Leeds as well. Yeah. You could give it to Marcus Edwards, score on debut to knock a Premier League team out of the FA Cup away from home.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Plymouth.
Yeah.
And also, I'm just thinking, do you know a YouTuber called Pieface, a streamer called Pieface?
Yeah.
He's going to be on one tonight now.
He's
a Plymouth fan.
He's a massive Plymouth fan. Yeah.
Mad.
He literally has like a supporters club he travels away with in a coach every weekend. Like, he gets heckled at every game and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mad.
But, yeah, it's got to be Plymouth, isn't it?
Definitely.
It's mad.
Well, Ollie, thank you so much for coming on.
No,
that was so enjoyable. I literally could talk to you for another 2 hours, but
that was good. That was good fun.
You've got somewhere to be.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
No,
and just to end it, we usually ask who would you suggest to bring on the pod next.
Oh, that's a really good question. We spoke about Talk Ball earlier. He's good. He's very you talk about like the surrounding things of football, like his videos. He's really insightful and speaks very well. So maybe him. I'd listen to him on a podcast.
Talk Ball. All right. Sweet as. What do we do? Do press the red button and stop recording? Cheers, guys.